And now I'm here with the star of the show, Peter Sidlauskas of the class of 1965, who came to the class reunion from San Diego, California, probably one of the furthest in the class to come back to Scranton, but he came on his bicycle. And that's a story that's really worth learning a little bit more about. So, Peter, tell us about your route.
Well, my route started in Southern California from my back door near San Diego, and I took a northerly route in the beginning, going up to Nevada and going through Nevada up to Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Park. At the Grand Tetons, I took a left-hand turn and proceeded directly east across the rest of the country.
And what states did you go across?
Oh, you're gonna tax me now. Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, what
Illinois.
comes after that? Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania. I think I missed a few, but
I think we talked a little bit about the mountains.
yes.
Here in Pennsylvania.
The mountains here in Pennsylvania.
How do they rank against the Tetons?
The mountains here in western Pennsylvania were by far the hardest part of the trip, in that they weren't so high, but they were very steep, and there was one after another, endlessly. Those out west, coming over the Continental Divide near Yellowstone, were way higher. 9,200 feet was my highest pass. But it was a piece of cake compared to western Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're here for the reunion. You've seen some of your old classmates. And what are you doing now?
What am I
besides
doing?
riding bicycles?
I am retired, have been retired for the past 2 years, and kind of loving that. I have a number of different interests besides cycling. I am a woodworker and spend a lot of time in that endeavor. And I play a stupid little game that is very popular in Southern California called pickleball, which is similar to tennis and ping pong, if you could imagine that. But I spend a lot of time in that endeavor. I also hike a lot and enjoy most physical activities.
That's great. And you're here with Natalie Gelb.
Yes.
One of your old classmates.
Yes.
Who's responsible for this fantastic trail.
And who has been so supportive and so energetic and so enthusiastic throughout my trip that I can't thank her enough. She really, really has been something special.
Well, Tom Morgan and his wife, who's a member of the class, are here today, and he does a rally in honor of his daughter. 66 miles from here all the way up to Elk Mountain and back for the more enthusiastic bikers. For the less enthusiastic like myself, the 7-mile run on this trail. But biking, thanks to Natalie in large part, has become a large part of the community here in northeastern Pennsylvania. And it gets people out, and it's terrific. You know, she has 31 bikes at the trail center and at the different hotels that she's been able to get.
I didn't know that, but let me say a little bit about this trail and trails like this. There are a lot of very dangerous roads out there, and I cycled a lot of them, and every day cyclists like myself put our faith in drivers that they're going to be attentive and responsible. With trails like this, we don't put ourselves in that kind of jeopardy, and to develop these kind of trails would be a community asset wherever they could be developed. Not only for cyclists, but for walkers and runners and whoever would like to use them, because getting off the roads would be a major asset anywhere.
Now, you've got on this bike virtually everything you took across the country. How many days did it take you to do the ride?
I think it was 44 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yes,
what do you have? You got your tent?
Everything is, I got my tent, I have a sleeping mattress in here. I have extra clothes, I have sleeping bag. I have everything fit into what you see here. I travel relatively light compared to other cyclists who most commonly also have 2 front panniers up here and put extra crap in it. Me, I like to get up the hills easier, and the lighter you are, the easier it is to get up the hills.
You notice the helmet there?
Yes,
for our
indeed.
kids. You're a professional rider, you ride all over the country. Do you ever ride without your helmet?
I never ride without my helmet.
Why is that?
Simply because you never know, regardless of a trail like this or a road like that or wherever, you never know when something's going to happen. And when things go bad, they go bad like that. And so having the helmet, regardless the condition, is a very important factor.
I'm going to invite Natalie on for the next segment
Okay.
to talk about this. I hope you'll stay with us. And I can't thank you enough for coming to Scranton on your bike and bringing awareness to how important bicycling is.
It's been my pleasure.
Particularly for guys my age and your age. It'll keep us alive a lot longer.
It will indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, it will indeed.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you are disabled and unable to work, you may be entitled to Social Security benefits. In order to obtain benefits, you must prove your disability is severe enough to keep you from working. Social Security is financed through a dedicated payroll tax. If you have been paying taxes, then you have been paying into Social Security. And if you are no longer able to work, you've earned your rights to your Social Security benefits. Call the lawyers at O'Malley & Langen, representing Social Security claimants for a quarter of a century.
Welcome back, and we have Natalie Gelb with us, the person who is, I would say, primarily responsible for these bike trails that we have in northeastern Pennsylvania. She's been working with the Heritage Valley for a few years.
11 years
and
this month.
Done a wonderful job. Natalie, biking has become something that has really worked well with the trails. And I know you've been able to gather some bikes. Tell us about how many you have and
We
where
have
they
a bike
are.
share program, Lackawanna Heritage Valley now, a free bike share program where people can come and take a bike for a few hours or the day. We have 31 bikes, some at our headquarters on 7th Avenue. We have some at Cedar Bike, at the Hilton downtown, at the University of Scranton. And soon we're going to be giving some to Geisinger CMC, so their patients and families can use them, Nayog Park or wherever, for a couple of hours, and possibly some other locations. Scranton Running Company is going to take some. So it's been really successful. People get a taste of bike riding, or if they're visiting, they get to see the city and visit our sites. It's been really, really popular. Over 500 people have taken bikes so far just this summer.
Pete, you're a biking enthusiast. When you travel around the country, have you ever seen a city that has a bike share program like that?
Actually, in San Diego, they started one not long ago. I don't know how well that's working or all the ins and outs of it, but I have seen it there. Coming across the country, I hadn't seen it in other places.
How long has it been since you've been back to Scranton?
I was back to Scranton last year.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
Okay.
I rode my bike back
No
on
kidding.
a southern route. Yes.
The southern route takes you through?
The southern route took me through Arizona, Texas, Mississippi, Arkansas.
Wow.
And then I headed north from there.
I assume you didn't do that in the summer, though.
I did it in the spring. Yeah.
And before that, Pete, how long since you were here?
Oh, it had to be 8 or 10 years, I imagine.
Have you noticed the changes?
There are changes. I was saying to someone earlier, I really enjoy the area for the architecture and the older buildings and how many of the homes have, I don't know if they've always been well kept or they've been refurbished, and many of those older buildings too. It's very different from the California environment, which is everything is brand new and kind of plastic.
If you walk down Spruce Street and stop on the corner of Wyoming Avenue and Spruce Street and look up at that German hotel, the beautiful stonework in that, in the old Globe store. I mean, everywhere you go, you see this beautiful architecture. The library, the school district administration building, our courthouse. And I hear that from people all over the country. Say, I never thought that Scranton would be so beautiful.
Yeah,
I
think you're here and you kind of take that stuff for granted. But when you don't see it every day and you don't see that style workmanship, it's really impressive.
And the Heritage Valley has done an awful lot to bring attention to that very wonderful part of our...
Well, Pete is our prime star now, for not only for the biking and the health and wellness that we're trying to promote here, but also for appreciating our heritage and where we come from and being proud of who we are. And you know, somebody said to me not too long ago that we have some people that are very negative, and the people that are most negative are the ones who've never lived anywhere else, because what you just said, people appreciate this place when they look at it with new eyes.
And particularly people who come back.
Absolutely.
And see it, and it is, and we produce great ambassadors all over the country, all over the country. We talked about some of the fellas and girls in your class that have made it big and they're doing real well. Bobby Steinberg, I think, is up in the Seattle area with Jim and Bill Summers. So there's been a lot of people that have left us, done extremely well, and when they come back, they're amazed. And a lot of them would like to come back here and stay. My brother Bill was in Florida for 40 years. And when he got here, came back, started to practice law with my brother Peter and I. He said to me one day, you know, I don't know why I ever left this place. It is really so fantastic.
And people who care about the community, people like you, Todd, who promote the community every week on your show. And I think that's the sense of community that we have here, which I think you're feeling now, Pete, the people that care about each other, no matter how different they are. So we're thrilled. We're thrilled to have Pete back, and hope everybody who was in our class will come back and enjoy this reunion.
Now, the trail we're on has been a really something that you've been doing so much with. You've got some applications for additional exciting grants. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the big grant application that we have in now, which would be hugely transformative for our area, is called a TIGER grant. It's through the Federal Department of Transportation, and the acronym stands for Transportation Infrastructure Generating Economic Recovery. And we've applied for about $15 million, which would have such an impact on this area, because what it would do, it would allow us to complete all the trail gaps between Taylor and Fell Township.
Wow.
As well as to connect Steamtown National Historic Site to the trail through a bridge that used to connect across the river on 7th Avenue, as well as by a tunnel that goes underneath Steamtown, under the tracks from Steamtown to the new intermodal center that's being built on Lackawanna Avenue. We also have money in there for a connector we're calling the Lackawanna Connector from the trail to downtown Scranton, Lackawanna Avenue, because this is all about economic recovery. Our trail connects 30 communities, and 15 of those municipalities would be directly impacted if we were to get this grant. And then last but not least, which is why I was so thrilled to have Pete agree to do all of this for us, even though he's exhausted probably, is to put bike lanes all through the downtown of Scranton.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
To connect the trail, and that's with the county and PennDOT both working on that, to connect the trail from the intermodal system, from the Riverwalk all around Scranton to the hospitals, to the universities, the medical school, businesses, the hotels. Now, huge for this area.
From right here, going down towards Taylor, how far can I ride a bike here?
You could ride about 2 miles from Scranton to Taylor, and about 4.5 miles. On the trail,
without leaving the trail?
Without leaving the trail, just crossing the streets.
Sure.
That's another part I forgot about the grant, is the street crossings. We have a plan for improving the safety of the street crossings across the trail from Elm Street to Parker Street in Scranton. Wow. Signalization, signage, bike lanes. Because sometimes, as Pete mentioned in the earlier part of the show, people just ignore bikers, and they don't stop. Or walkers, for that matter.
When we come back, we got to talk about something else that's very important to you and Pete, and that's a reunion that you're celebrating from Scranton Central High School.
Correct.
So please stay tuned to You Be the Judge. I'm Todd O'Malley with the law offices of O'Malley & Lang. If I say the word tragedy, what do you think? Floods? Hurricanes?
Devastation on a huge scale. I bet not one of you thought work injury. And that's a problem in our society. Just because something happens one person at a time doesn't make it any less significant. Over 3.5 million people are injured or killed on the job every year, each an individual tragedy. If you've been hurt at work, call O'Malley and Langen, 1-800-817-COMP.